Yeah, I mean, I just finished Bob Iger.
Ride of a Lifetime.
And
fantastic.
Just really to chapter after chapter. I mean, it's like every chapter could have made a career. And he just, and he strings 6 of them together and to just appreciate sort of, what he accomplished. And I mean, with Chad's passing, Black Panther, I mean, I remember Bob Iger in the book just talking about, as an organization, sort of being presented the case that a Black superhero was not going to perform well, and making the decision and the conviction to do it all the same.
Yep.
And, it is the most liked tweet, I think, nearly universally admired and respected. One of just the great imprints of sort of, in culture and the conversation inside the last, 5-10 years. And it's really fun reading sort of that moment in leadership.
Was there something you took away from Bob Iger's Ride of a Lifetime? Bob Iger hasn't been on the pod yet, but the open invite, if anybody knows him, I want to zoom in with him. Incredible book. We did that in our book club, actually. What was your takeaway from his experience being an entrepreneur who starts things versus Bob Iger, who was entrepreneurial inside of other people's companies?
Yeah, I mean, intrapreneurship often feels like, you're cheating somehow. I mean, it's so hard starting these companies and to be surrounded by the safety net and infrastructure and resources of big companies. I mean, to me, it never feels the same. And yet, leading Disney is different than building something from the ground up. And it was an experience that equipped him and prepared him for the challenges of leading, a multinational global organization with properties across a lot of, not just media, but I mean, running cruise ships and in entertainment. And, it prepared him well. And I think, all of us, as we look at our careers, should be clear on what we're trying to accomplish, because the pathway that will most successfully lead you there is different for every one of us.
Yeah, I always had the same thing with you. Like this, there's no comparison between starting and working, and then you read Bob Iger's book and you realize, well, he had to navigate all that politics and all of the strategy that was being pushed on him. And I think the big revelation for me was that the bigger the strategy department under Michael Eisner got, the more they were suffocating the units. And that the streamlining of that, and that what got you here does not get you there. Like Michael Eisner was dead set against the Pixar acquisition. And, Iger just saw clearly that was just absolutely had to occur. And he had the ability to talk to Steve Jobs, and he learned some kind of, I don't know if it's, I get a great sense of humility from him, which I think works when you're dealing with someone like Steve Jobs. When you come in, and say, like Steve Jobs would, if you're battling with him like Bill Gates did, it's going to be down to, those are gladiators, right? Whereas, when he came into Steve Jobs, he was like, I think we should talk, but, I'd love to open that dialogue with you if that's possible. And, he's like on pins and needles waiting to see Steve Jobs' reaction. Yeah, let's talk right now. Like tonight, right now, and then like in the driveway talking to Steve Jobs about trying to close a deal. Where if it had been Michael Eisner, like that paradigm just would not have worked. Michael Eisner and Steve Jobs equals no deal. But Bob Iger,
he saw it as he was becoming the steward of a legacy, and I think it was that sort of sensibility that resonated with with Marvel, with Pixar, with with all of it.
Yeah, when he talks about the Marvel deal too, and getting, who's that guy, Kevin Feige, getting him on board, and then talking with George Lucas and getting him on board. It feels to me like Bob Iger was the only executive who could have done that. Like just that ability to talk with that level of personality, and be able to close a deal with them and listen to them and have empathy. Just something that the other side of the table doesn't have, right? Like what made Steve Jobs and George Lucas is not what made Bob Iger, right? It's almost like this yin yang kind of thing.